That's really smooth.
So this one was a guilty pleasure. It is a Fisher Space Pen. So it was made to solve writing in space because wood chips from pencils will get in air filters and cause fires.
What?
So Fisher Space Pens can write upside down, underwater, below freezing, in like 115 degrees.
Okay.
Hmm.
Cool. You went live just for me to be looking at your pen like.
This pen life was an obsession for like 6 months.
I'm
and then I
unimpressed.
cracked the code.
I'm kidding.
If you had a space pen and stone paper, you'd be good to go.
Unstoppable. Well, actually, then you get to the field notes, which are a whole different thing that I decided not to worry about because there's only so many pockets in the world, and I don't want to waste them on a notepad I'm not going to use when I have a whole phone.
Fair. Cool. Oh, actually, I'll read this and then we'll do introductions.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So, welcome to Creating After Disaster. So basically what that means is, there are a lot of things that happen to us in life, from natural disasters to personal disasters to pandemics, that can really take a toll on the creative mind, right? And sometimes creating can help us, sometimes it can be harder to create when that stuff is going on, and we're really gonna get into the meat of that. So the three of us are gonna talk about our personal experiences and also open up the stage for if you wanna share your experience or if you wanna ask questions. It's just gonna be kinda open, kinda chill. But first off, I have to tell us about our tell us. I'm gonna tell us. Is that okay? I'm going to tell you guys about our charity that DragonCon has partnered with. So this is NAMI Georgia, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness in Georgia. And so if you want to make a donation, you can come up to the table and scan this QR code, and you're able to make a donation right there. And DragonCon will actually match up to $125,000 to donate to this amazing mental health charity. And this is something that's very close to my heart, as I am a mental health therapist. So yeah, let's make DragonCon pay that. Let's make those donations. So cool, yay! All right. Well, I am going to start our introductions right here.
Hola, my name is Jeffrey Nix. I write Alias and Apocalypses, which is for free on Royal Road, but part of the reason that I am here, aside from having to create things after various disasters, is that I'm an industrial organizational psychologist, which, aside from being a word jumble, means that I professionally focus on the way people make up an organization and how treating people like people can end up making organizations more effective. And that can include creativity, psychometrics, but also burnout, learning, and all sorts of other things.
Hello. My voice is almost gone, so sorry about that. My name is Angel. I am mostly a cosplayer. I lived in an area, also affected by Hurricane Helene most recently, so I definitely have a lot to say about that later. So I mainly just do cosplay, like I say, but I do write on the side. I've been cosplaying for quite a while, so I also have a lot to add about burnout, stuff like that, and how things just affect that. So
awesome, thank you. And can we get some commotion for the wig she made herself?
No, you're so sweet, but thank you.
Literally
so far,
so
we haven't gotten stuck in any elevator issues yet. I got my Yugi helping me over there. So.
Did you make your necklace too?
I did.
Oh, show it off, show it off.
Yay!
Yay!
If there's any Yu-Gi-Oh fans, wow, I forgot where I am. I have some really cool badge ribbons if you want to find me after the show.
Awesome, yeah. And so I'm Nick Lyle. I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor, a certified dialectical behavior therapist, and a certified sex therapy informed professional. So a lot of jargon to say I really care about what's happening between your ears. But I'm also an actor, and as of very recently, I am now a published author. Yay! And so I'm really proud of this book. This is my first publication, and I am a person with autism and ADHD, and so my neurodivergent brain created this to organize the neurodivergent brain. This is progress loading next level to-do lists, and it's all about taking away the shame of productivity by having to have 100% completion, and about really identifying what you're actually getting done. And so if you're interested in these, you can get them on Amazon.com, or you can buy them from me right now for $5. All right. So jumping into it, I think let's just kind of start about like what has y'all's experience been just as a creative in general, like navigating like the regular array of just like life's struggles and things like that. Like how has life impacted you as a creative?
Rock, paper, scissors, and who goes first?
What?
Rock, paper, scissors,
That's
shoot.
one.
Yeah. All right, you go first.
We tied.
Oh, okay. What was the question? Wait, you got me in game mode now. You can't do that to a Yu-Gi-Oh fan.
Yeah, just how has the regular array of just like life's difficulties, things like that, impacted you as a creative?
So I know a lot of you probably, I feel like most of us are adults in here. You do have to do adult stuff sometimes. All the time, like work and stuff. That has been my biggest problem, is finding time to set aside to do what I like to do, I'm thankful right now I work in a better profession, but I used to be a vet tech, and I had absolutely no time between the trauma of work and just general life. Like, I didn't have time to sit down and work on my cosplays, plan for cons, That's my biggest thing. And I am always wanting to get better at that.
One of the things that I've found as a consistent theme is inconsistency and temporary setbacks are more consistent than anything else.
Yes.
I can't really think of a time in the last several years where I haven't been saying, in the next couple of months, I'm going to have that calm stretch. Just got to hold on until then. And that has been one of the things that I have had to learn to work on. Anytime that I say, just grit your teeth and hate it for a little bit until you get to blank, that is almost always a sign that I'm doing something wrong, which is often exacerbated by any sort of personal or real-world catastrophe. So in 2019, my dad passed. Obviously, we all had COVID, though for me personally and my own hermit crab-like existence, it was less traumatic than for others. I had a web serial that I put out. The first one that I ever did was with two collaborators who were personal friends, and one of those friendships fell apart. And that was its own personal catastrophe, which reminds me of, I can't remember her name. She is on Thanatology episode of Ologies with Allie Ward, but she talks about shadow losses and small grieving, because you don't need to have someone die or something in the world go terribly wrong. You don't need to be constantly traumatized by whoever's in office that you disagree with. Small passings are still passings and can still be catastrophic to you. Even having to switch a work schedule and say goodbye to my ability to wake up early and find writing time then was a small catastrophe for my persona and my life as an author, even though it didn't have any real loss to a person other than myself. So all of those are just constant inconsistencies, and the disasters are more common than the stability. It's like standing on one of those old buzzy things that people were convinced would make you fit back in the 1980s. You might have bigger jumps, but you're never going to have it hold still. And I find that's where you always have to be inhabiting when you're in the creative process.
Yeah. Also, I want to say those vibration plates are really good for flushing your lymph system. It's actually really, really healthy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The what now?
But anyway, yeah, so for you guys, can you think of a specific time where a disaster on any scale, personal or global, has made it hard for you to be creative or made it hard for you to create content? And if so, what was that event and how did it impact you?
Not it this time.
So I think the one that sticks out to me, because again, the pandemic for me was helpful because it came during a time when I was in graduate school and I was able to do everything I needed to remotely. I was just moving into grad school with a person who is now my best friend. And so that gave me all the artificial constraints I needed to have a boom in creativity. honestly, having to go to in-person work was harder than the pandemic, but the one that really hit me was when my dad passed. And that one of the things that I remembered is someone saying, like, your first 6 months after a major loss almost don't count. You're going through puberty again. If you get through, it's fine. And my big goal was don't hurt people because you're hurting. And I didn't necessarily need to write. And I think that's one of the biggest things to remember, because some people have signed contracts or made promises that they will be a creative. Most of us have not. And in many cases, a significant, to us, catastrophe or tragedy, I think is enough that you can modify those contracts that you've made with other people. And one of the things that I had to do is, like, I don't need to write right now. I would very much like to. I would like to feel happy the way writing would, but I didn't have the spoons for it at the time. And I also was in a very high burnout job that gave a lot of vicarious trauma. I was a child abuse investigator, and layering those on top of each other, writing anything that wasn't an angsty horror fest of everyone hating their life was beyond me, and I had enough of that. So for me, one of the biggest steps was I didn't get to write for a while. It's almost paradoxical therapy. I have one of my really good friends also was getting their degree in licensed family therapy, and one of the things they mentioned is paradoxical restraints. If you want your clients to do something, oftentimes you will say you are not allowed to for a while, and it will make them come to appreciate the things they weren't able to do. So I gave myself a limit. I wasn't allowed to write for a while. I just had to be a person who ate, brushed their teeth, and went to work.
Yeah.
And I started thinking of all the creative ideas I wanted, and when it was exciting and when it was rejuvenative to do, I went back. And when I have the spoons to write when I don't want to, I can, but at that time, I had bigger hurdles that needed to be accomplished.
Yeah, and that's so significant that you mentioned that, like, not putting that pressure on yourself of, like, I have to be okay, or I have to be okay in this time limit in order to be able to create. You were able to just be like, no, it's just I'm setting a boundary with myself. It's not happening right now, and that's so healthy.
Well, yeah, I also had to give myself, like, assigned crying times during the day. Like, here's
Yes.
15 minutes.
We
I'm gonna
love crying here.
I'm gonna really think about the stuff that's making my life awful right now. And if I feel like having feelings now, this is absolutely the time to do it. I'm gonna have to push it down because I am going to have to do hard work where I'm being present for other people's trauma. But for now, I just have to feel the things I'm feeling. And that was a lot of the month. I was a person who was grieving. My grieving wasn't super healthy because I kept trying to research how to win at grieving. Like, what's the best way to grieve? How can I
Hack this?
How can I do the most grieving per grieved minute? That way I can get out of this faster. That did end up helping me because I was like, sorry guys, I'm speedrunning grieving. I can't get to this chapter out.
Yeah, can I piggyback off that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's actually really, really healthy to schedule grieving time, because a lot of times we're trying so hard to be strong, like we're trying to white knuckle it, and maybe we're around a lot of people or we're working a lot of hours where it's like, I can't feel it, right? And like if you're someone who, you know, lived through something like we went through with Hurricane Helene, where it's like, okay, you have to like figure out what you're gonna do without electricity and water, and you have to, like, you know, there's like so much like community mutual aid going on, and it's like you have to think about all these things. A lot of times you have to be on, like, all the time. Or maybe you've lost a loved one, but you have another loved one who's grieving it just as hard, right? And you have to be on for them. And so scheduling grieving time and a grieving place is so healthy because it lets your body know that it's safe to process what you're doing, rather than like putting it in a really tight ball and sticking it somewhere in your body where it will make you sick. Because not processing your intense emotions will literally result in chronic illness. It'll make you sick. Like, if you're not processing it because you can't, it'll go somewhere and hide. And sometimes it's like, oh, now my jaw pops. Or, oh, now I have lower back pain. Or, oh, now my hands shake, right? Now my shoulders are up here. And a lot of times those physical things are just manifestations of emotions that our bodies didn't feel it was safe to process. Mm-hmm. And also, if you're a person who's like, obviously I've processed my emotions, I cry all the time, I'm just minding my business, and then, right? No. Mm-mm. Because when that happens, what's happening is we're not actually processing and moving through what's happening. We're being strong while we're shaking a can of Coke, right? And then that part of crying is when it just boom, right? The dam bursts. The body is like, absolutely not, I can't hold it anymore, I'm gonna be sick. And so then it explodes and you cry or you lash out or you punch a hole in the wall, right? And that's not actually processing. That's not feeling your emotions. That's getting to critical mass and then just erupting. But when you schedule grieving time, you're actually able to be like, no, I don't have to cry right now at work because I have a scheduled 15 minutes in the bottom of my closet wearing my comfy pajamas with all my stuffies at 5:30. Right? Or I have 5 minutes sitting behind the steering wheel of my car going, ah! Right? And when we schedule that, our body knows it's safe to have the experiences that it's having. And so I'm really glad you brought that up because that's so healthy. Angel,
Yeah.
We've gone probably a long way along from the question, so I'll ask it again. But has there been a serious event that you felt like separated you from your creativity or made it hard to be a creative?
Yes, but also I feel like I can kind of piggyback off this and show the flip side of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we all remember the 2019, 2020 COVID pandemic. Who? You know, yeah, who? Who is she? So on the flip side, sorry, I sound like I'm going through puberty. I actually got back into cosplaying and really getting back into my craft and making things because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, I actually am part of the people that got on the TikTok trend, you know, making cringy TikToks, right, when I didn't have, time to go outside anymore. And I was able to use that, and it really helped to bring me back to where I am today. And, the best part of that is it helped me work through my trauma of, other things were going on. But, that was a trauma in its own right. We are still dealing with the trauma of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I've made a lot of good friends, it brought me to this community.
Yeah.
So, it brings, disaster can bring negative emotions, but it is also a good way to channel your craft.
Yeah. So that leads me into my direct
Yeah.
next question, which was how have hard times made it better for you as a creative? Like, has creativity or creating pulled you out of a dark place ever?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I was gonna say that goes right into that. That is exactly how I was able to channel a lot of my negative energy and stuff is, I'm like, oh, you know what? Instead of sitting around, crying, I could also be crying and making wigs and stuff, it's something to do to distract yourself from whatever you might be going on with, in your life. That's definitely for me, and I know, we all have different crafts and stuff, but for me with cosplaying, that is 100%, that's what I do. And I try to put myself into that of, if I'm going to be having a really, really rough time, yes, absolutely give yourself breaks. Don't force yourself to do anything, but also learn to use that negative energy to make it something positive.
Sure.
Yeah, that is the split side of it, because one of the things that is difficult to discuss, and a friend likes to mention, is my trauma didn't make me kind and empathetic. I made myself kind and empathetic.
Yes.
My trauma made me scared and unhappy and having to unlearn maladaptive coping styles. But at the same time, some of the hardships can galvanize you to find parts of yourself and bring them to the surface. So it's really hard because I don't like to say that the bad things made me good at stuff, but the ways that I chose to respond to some bad things have ended up becoming enduring and helpful parts of my life that I'm proud of. So when I was a child abuse investigator, as you can imagine, super fun, sunshine and rainbows, best time of your life, just like daycare. It was bad, and it was also in a county that had 7 people that should have been covered by 36. You never got to have time off until you were actually off the clocks. At any time prior to that, they could call you in. You had to respond to anything you had in either 4 hours or 24 hours anywhere in the county. Mandatory time off the clock, and a strong culture of it's illegal, but I'm going to use my paid time off so I can write reports and come in, and then over the next 2 days, miraculously, an unusual amount of reports will get updated to my computer. And one of the things about that helped me was, first, I learned never to plan anything that was important after noon, because by the time noon rolled around, the day would take control, and what the day needed to happen would happen, whether or not I wanted it. And then the other thing was, I had to move to get that job right out of undergraduate, and I knew no one within 3 hours of driving, maybe 3.5. And I had this really strong intuition that I was going to be completely alone for one of the first times ever. And at that time, I was very interested in martial arts, which is actually how I first became a panelist. But one of my very first teachers had come up to me and been like, you absolutely should enjoy this while you can. I have a wife. She decided to leave Spain to be here, and I have a daughter. I cannot choose to spend as much time here as I would like because they have greater claim to my time than this passion does. And so I was very isolated. I did not really believe in vicarious trauma until I hit my point. I identify a bit on the alexithymic scale. I can't tell what I'm feeling. I have to deduce it. Like, I will notice my own word usage and my own, like, tension, and I'll have to guess, like, am I really angry or am I really excited about something? And so I thought I was doing great. I thought I was living life to the fullest. And the thought that I had was, this time isn't me being isolated. This is the best time in my life to be selfish. If I feel like using 4 nights a week to drive to a silly martial arts school, put on silly pajamas, and throw other silly people. I don't have a daughter, I don't have a wife, I don't have a girlfriend, I don't have a friend, I don't have a sister or a mom or a brother here who will want any of my time. And same with writing. I had to do it at 6 a.m. before I went to work, but also I wasn't going to wake anyone else up if I got up whenever I wanted to. No one was going to be bothered if I had to play really loud music so that I could power through it. And that time ended up being super helpful for me. It gave me a lot of other stuff I had to work through afterwards, but it also gave me the feeling that I can't always find time to do these things that matter to me. And it also put me in a couple of places where I did them when I shouldn't have, and I didn't realize it until years later that I had shot myself in the foot. I recently saw someone who was a semi-professional athlete say that one of their rules is never do something in the gym today that will stop you from working out tomorrow. And I sometimes have to apply that to creativity. Never force myself to do something creative today that will stop me from writing the next day or the day after.
Yes.
And that was one of the skills that I learned the hard way from that particular prolonged 1.5 years of crisis.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you bring that up because that's so significant on like really finding the balance between like the sense of maybe like I'm feeling depressed and I know that doing this thing that I love will help me, so I should overcome this hurdle. Like that can be really beneficial to be like, no, I know it will behoove me to do that, right? Like I need to do it versus like, no, I'm like powering through, I'm pushing myself to the point of exhaustion. Like it's very much like an interesting sort of like paradigm there of finding what works for you. And what I encourage for people around that is always just like check in with your body. Right? Like let's all just take a deep breath together. Just, you know? Like just check in with your body and see what it's asking for, you know? And we can get really good insights on what we need to be doing, if we need to be creating, if we need to be resting, from just checking in and really seeing like, what do I actually have the energy for? Would I get more energy from doing this, or would I lose energy, you know? Because for me, most of the time, it's like, okay, if I put some music on and I start dancing, I'm gonna get energy from that. Like for me, I get so excited if I put on a favorite song and I'm getting to dance to it. Like it doesn't feel like exercise, right? It feels so good. But then there's also times when that's not the case. Like sometimes a good example is like at Dragon Con. It's late and there's music playing and people are dancing. And sometimes I'm like, I should really go dance. I love to dance. It would be fun. It would be social. And my body's like, no, we need sleep and fruit snacks. And, you know, and that's okay. It might be something that I love in some contexts, but in other contexts, I need sleep and fruit snacks, you know? Yeah, so it's super important to just check in with yourself and really see, like, what am I needing in this moment? Like, what would actually benefit me? And then yeah, for like my own like personal shares as we're getting into, I'm not gonna ask you guys to be vulnerable and then just sit here and be like, oh.
I've never had a problem. Can you tell me what that feels like?
So how do you feel about that? Yeah, but from my own like personal experiences with like being a creative and navigating life stuff, it was really interesting. Helene sort of made me like process some stuff that I hadn't from earlier in my life, because when Helene hit and I was evacuated from my home for 2 months, waiting for like clean potable water to come back and all of that, I like, it was weird. I just like had this urge that hit me and was like, I must cosplay. I know, and it was like it's calling to me. I don't know what's happening. Like I've been cosplaying for like 13 years at this point, and so cosplay is just like so old hat. I don't really get the like, I got the hankering tonight at midnight like I used to. But I did. It was like I got hit with that, and I really had to sit with it for a minute, because it was really interesting, because I was taken back to when I was like 19 years old. Like it transported me back like almost 10 years to when I was thinking about like when I was younger and I was married, I was in a really emotionally damaging situation. And like the only thing that got me through that during that time, other than being in therapy school and like being trained to be a therapist, was so healing for me. The thing that got me through was cosplay. And it was like when things would get hard and I was really suffering, and I didn't want to be me. I didn't want to live my life. None of these things felt like things, like real life didn't feel like something that I could sit in. Cosplay was really something that helped me with that, because it was like I can step into something that I love. It's like I can dress up as a character and look in the mirror and see someone that I love. And at that point, self-love was really hard for me. And so it was a really, I might cry, and that's okay. I'm allowing it. It was a really, like, self-love was a really hard thing at that point. But it was a really cool thing to be able to look in the mirror and see something that I love so much, you know? Because it was like, wow, that's Fenris from Dragon Age. I love him so much. And like it was such a saving grace for me. And then to know that I could come to conventions and step out of my life and be someplace with people who wanted to talk about what I wanted to talk about and what I loved was so healing. But then it'd been so much time, like, since I first discovered cosplay, and cosplay, like, first saved me, that I had, like, forgotten, like, that piece. And then when Helene happened, that I was like, I need to cosplay, it was like, oh, yeah. Like, this is a place where I'm in that low place, that experiencing feelings that I haven't felt in a long time. And so it was a real, like, reflective moment of, like, yeah, like, thank you. Creativity.
One, damn brave. Good job. Handkerchief, if you would like it.
Thank you.
That's hard to do in public.
Yeah.
Something about that struck a thought with me is I'm big on lists, and I sort of have a triage list of the art that will help versus the things that I do. The sitting down and writing for me, not super restorative. Afterwards, it is, once I've been in flow state. But one of the things that I try to be aware of is, like, certain things don't scratch the itch as life gets worse and worse. If I can set aside an hour and write, I will feel better at the end. Sometimes I can't. If I can't do that, then there are shorter things that I can do. I can plot. I can daydream. Sometimes I'll drive someplace and I'll have an established, like, no one can call me. I'm putting on music with no words. My creative activity today is just to daydream how this would impact something I'm working on. And it goes down. If that doesn't work, then I will eventually go to other art forms that I don't profit off of. Like, drawing for me is a big one. When things are bad, I can draw, and that will get a lot of the demons out. And it's not writing. It doesn't go into my writing tracker. It doesn't make me successful at that, but it does help. And so one of the things that I'll keep track of, if X doesn't work, what is next on the list? Because sometimes cosplay is what you do and it's what you're committed to. Sometimes it's medicine. Mm-hmm. And at the end, like, if I can't write, if I can't read, if I can't draw, then I know that the only thing that'll work for me is just stream of consciousness in a Word document I will never open again after 3 days of going in and out of it. And sometimes it reminds me of what Adam Grant said in his book, I think, Give and Take, about burnout. One of the ways that you can get yourself out of being burnt out and out of being low on energy is to find those actions that give more than they take. Paradoxically, some people who work too much need to volunteer because the act of helping others and being part of a community gives them what they need to keep going. And sometimes if you don't have enough energy to create, you need to create something else that is just for fun and just for recharging and rejuvenating.
I love that. That'll be my next question. Angel, what refills your cup? What recharges and rejuvenates you?
Well, all of you guys, honestly, my community, being able to come to places like this and be silly with my friends and be able to combine that with the things that I do in my free time, you know, like making silly props and wigs and stuff, you know, like this right here, like this is it.
Yeah.
And that's what I love so much about our community, especially Dragon Con. This is my 11th Dragon Con, and I hope there's like 500 more.
Woo!
Sometimes when I can't make myself write, I will get either old chapters that I loved or one-off ideas that I was workshopping, and I'll send them to people because I'm like, this is 15 minutes as my friend. I need you to go through this and talk to me about it. I want your positive feedback, not your critiques. And as soon as someone makes me feel good for being a writer and having written, it makes me want to write again. So like I've got shelf stuff that I wrote 5 years ago that I am endlessly proud of, that I think is hilarious. That series may not come around for another 10 years, but sometimes if I need a good kick, I'll reach out to someone who hasn't read it and it's like, hey, I need you to listen to Ciro, who is trying very hard to speak in an accent because he believes in the great writer in the sky, and he wants to punish his god by making him look up all the phonetic alphabet symbols. Please tell me how funny I am and that I'm worth it.
Oh my gosh, that is so genius. Like, there are a few things that I enjoy more than like reading aloud to people and like sharing a story that I love, and like especially like sharing my writing with people and like getting like live feedback from them and stuff. So that is so smart. Like, take a digestible chunk of something and send it to someone and be like, please talk to me about this. It will make me very happy.
Yeah, he does that all the time to me.
Well, I wasn't using it as a coping skill, but now I will.
Sorry, calling you out.
Fair, yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we got about 30 minutes left, and so I thought this would be a good time to kind of like open it up. And so if anyone has any questions that they, you know, want to ask us, like about creating and navigating life stuff, or if you have just something in your own life that you want to share about what it's been like for you as a creative going through life, we would love to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, just thanks for being mine. I love hearing that you're a martial artist. Also, Tai Chi is my primary art, Tai Chi Kung Fu.
That's amazing. I'm also a 3rd degree black belt.
Nice. I will add that, thank you.
I thought we were
I
about
didn't
to have
even
a proposal.
realize.
That was really romantic.
Yes, whatever. I don't even know you, but I do. There we go. You can be my Dragon Con boyfriend for the day. But anyway, so yeah, mine was like a sudden, let's just say I will never be on another nonprofit board again because I got on a board and we inherited a dumpster fire, and through that dumpster fire I lost a few friends, some community. It's really hard to like bend over backwards standing up to defend somebody and have them think that you're doing the exact opposite, and just and that was my martial arts community. I will add that I do still teach Tai Chi in the park. Yes, it's as stereotypical as it gets, but yes, I teach Tai Chi in the park on the mornings, and
Yay.
I have found that teaching my art has been a good creative. It's kept my sanity. But yeah, I was wanting to hear more about when you've kind of hit that. I've also kind of like created a neurodivergent burnout, and now it's just trying to find that creative juices again. Like I really want to invent a new martial arts form. I also want to just lay in bed and die of Netflix boredom. And,
Yeah.
yeah, that like getting the spark going again. And then there's the epic book series in my brain that someday will make it into a computer. So yeah, just how do you, once you had that burnout and just everything comes crashing down, find that spark and light that fire again. How do you do that?
Yeah. So only you can know at like what stage in that process you're at. Because for me, a lot of times if I'm like trying to like force myself to do it, I have to kind of be like, nope, I don't have the motivation. I need to take a nap and like recalibrate. Like, have you tried turning it off and back on again? Right. And so a lot of times for me, it's like, okay, I can't do it right now. Why? So really getting curious, especially for like neurodivergent people. I really like a training that I did on like working with ADHD that was amazing. The question that he told us to like ask ourselves and our clients is, how exactly did you do that? And so like if there was a time when you found joy in it, roll back the tape and think about how exactly did I do that? Like, how did I get the joy from it? What were the situations, like the circumstances, right? And like literally trace that. And then think about how didn't I do it? And how different are the circumstances, right? Is it like I need to sleep more? I need to eat more? I need to be in the park? Is it like I need a friend there? I need like really finding those things that help. Do I need to be in really comfortable clothes? Do I need to just being ridiculously silly, take all the pressure off of it, start typing in chiller fonts and pink type? Like, you know what I mean? Like finding stuff like that can be super helpful. Just like maybe I just need a reset. Like where am I in the process? Any of y'all, any thoughts about navigating burnout?
I agree with everything you said. Yeah, you just about covered it.
I got a proper ramble on this one because it's right where I am at this moment. I would say since mid-June, I have had a weekend and a half where I haven't been completely booked. And I think that I've been in 6 different states and had 2 surgeries. And I also timed it poorly where a lot of my feelings of success come from actually producing new chapters. But I'm in a phase where I had to read stuff, send it out, and focus on infrastructure, which makes me feel like I'm not a writer, which makes me not want to write. One of the things that I find helpful to think about is what is the purpose of the creativity? Because if the purpose of being creative is because you're angry at yourself for not doing it, it's horrible motivation.
Nope. It's not gonna fly.
Yeah, that's called distress. It's not eustress. That is damaging. It can only motivate you for a little bit. It's like pouring the wrong fuel into an engine. So one of the things that I can do is if I think about why I want to be creative, I will often switch gears from I need to do this so I'm not a failure to making my goal to find joy in it. And to be clear, the goal is to find the joy, not to make it joyful. So one of the things that I have on a little checklist when I'm having trouble starting a chapter, I feel like it's not quite up to date. I have all the trite little bits of wisdoms that have gotten me out of a block. I cycle it maybe every 6-9 months and put something in. And one of the questions at the very top of the list I ask myself is, have you thought about this enough that you're excited to do it? And then there's some prompting questions underneath that can make me be excited. Like, how would your character mess this up in a way that no one else in the world would? And thinking about that...
No one's ever messed it up like that before.
Yeah, it's great. One of the things I was thinking about is like, oh, this character has a sort of Addams Family inversion. He only thinks terrifying monsters are cute. There's a very specific way that him going into an underground fighting ring will go wrong that won't happen for anyone else. And I was thrilled to do it instead of being upset. So if you can, finding the ways to find the joy. And again, that can be, how did you go back and make it joyful? I've actually done some of these experiments on myself. I do better when I have semi-regular feedback from people. So I tried to get a group of friends who committed to be in a writing group with me. Didn't work. I tried to get a person who would commit to every 2 weeks reading up to 15 minutes. Their life got in the way. Eventually I decided to start posting online so that I have like 2 people. Most of it's just people pointing out my typos, but having someone make a comment about the dumb choice someone wrote that I'm really excited about is enough to get me going. And the other big thing, this quote isn't entirely true. I think it has a bit of privilege in it, but someone once said, if you don't have time, you don't have priorities. I think that doesn't always account for people whose time is like staying alive or having genuine disabilities, chronic fatigue. No matter what your priorities are, you can't choose how much time you have in that day. But if you take it with a grain of salt, it can make sense. Like, one of the things I've had to accept is my creative process has really been suffering because in the various fields of my life, say I have 3 or 4, I have big goals in all of them, and sometimes I've doubled up. And I try to be pretty clear, at least once a year I go through and I say, these are the things that get to be a priority this year, because if everything is a priority, nothing's actually at the top of the list. Yeah. And I had to realize recently that I had done something where I was like, this is too much, but I'll just handle it. I couldn't. I've had to cut 3 or 4 of the big things that I was certain I could make time for. And part of it was the realization that your body and your mind need the time, and you can choose to give it to them, or they will choose to take it from you, and you do not know where they're going to take it from. And so, like, yeah, if you want to find the new martial art form and you want to find the epic in your head, I often find the answer isn't make yourself put it on paper. It's to find a really joyful set of experiments to find out how you could enjoy putting it on paper.
Yeah. Love.
I have a bit of advice that I accidentally found out.
Oh, God, please.
Yeah.
So 3 weeks ago today, I was supposed to go to an author signing with my best friend, and I was on my way, and she called me and said that there was somebody outside her office building shooting at it, which is terrifying and traumatizing, and we're dealing. Everybody mostly was safe. Everybody in the building was safe, and obviously that was like a horrifying thing. And the thing, like, I'm really bad at taking care of myself, but I'm better at doing things for other people. So the thing that got me to do things was, okay, well, future me would benefit from this. Like, if I do this now, future me is gonna like be so much less stressed about it. Future me is going to have this cosplay ready for Dragon Con that I've been planning for 2 years, and it was so close, and I was like, I have to finish this because it's important to me, but I can't do it for me. I have to do it for future me, and future me is in a healthier headspace and can appreciate it more. And that little trick of like convincing myself to do it, or even like load the dishwasher, or take the dog for a walk, it will help the dog and also future me, because in 20 minutes when I'm done with this, I'll feel better because of endorphins and whatnot. And that taking care of like the little pet of myself inside my head was really useful.
I love that. Yeah.
And depending on your neuroticism from when you were in school, the way I heard someone phrase it is, life is a group project between current you and future you. Who do you want to carry the weight? Are you going to be the slacker?
That's so funny. Yeah, but I love that. That's
I'm
sort of
actually going to start thinking like that, because I'm one of those people that I'm like, oh, that's future me's problem. I need to start thinking about it like you. Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah. No, that's a really cool reframe, right? Because I hear that all the time, like, oh, that's future me's problem, right?
Yeah. She hears it from me.
I'm not going to worry about that today. I'm going to worry about that tomorrow, right? But yeah, like, it is really helpful to think about your future self as someone outside of you that's worth caring about, right? And like, I'm going to set future me up for success. And I may not feel like doing it right now, but how relieved am I going to be when it's done later, when future me doesn't come back to this mess,
There's also some interesting research that looks at how far away in time you are from the consequences of anything and how much it impacts your brain activity and your thoughts. And one of the things that's really clear is there's a pretty strict formula for how far away something is temporally and how much it can matter to you. Or just how far it is from you in general. Because it's really easy to look at someone and tell them what to do and what would solve their life, particularly when you are far away from having to pay the effort. And so a point that someone made is, because our distance from the effort factors in how much we can care about something, you can also make a pretty strong argument that who you are in the future is a different person who will have different priorities. And so you can either take care of them, or sometimes you have to booby trap them. Like, one of the things I'll have to do is, I know that future me isn't gonna care at all about something, so I'll set him up. I'll text my partner about it, and I want her to think that I'm pretty and smart and capable. So future me has to do it. He's stuck. Or, like, put my car keys in a place where I can't pretend like I forgot that I don't have to do this. Nope, it's right by the cutting board. You have to clean it. Future you is stuck. He's going to feel like a liar if he pretends like he didn't see it. Got him.
Got him. I love that. Yeah. Any other like shares or questions? Yes.
I was just curious if you, after experiencing major life traumas like Helene or losing, a family member, do you find yourself drawn to different creative outlets or a certain type, and like in what way has that impacted your work?
For me, when I'm deeply sad, I love to write. And like a lot of times I will be really sad and I'll be like, oh, this actually unlocks a depth to one of my characters because I can think about like how they would respond in this situation or like what they were going through. And so, yeah, for me, I definitely get deflected into writing by sadness. Thank you, 15. Yeah, exactly.
I have a real quick answer, but I definitely see you with the microphone waiting patiently.
Yes, and there's also a hand back here too.
Absolutely. I find that happens all the time. In fact, I have to be careful about what media I've consumed because my passions will test positive for whatever I've recently watched. So, for instance, Halloween is my favorite time of the year, and it makes my brain feel like I'm in a bubble bath. It's the best for me. And so spooky season for me starts the first time I see Halloween Oreos in stores. That happened 2.5 weeks ago. I've already gotten through 3 books and 2 scary movies, and I already have 3 creative projects that I desperately want to do that have to deal with ghosts, haunting, making an actual handbook for haunting because I don't think Beetlejuice lived up to that. And so that is already something I struggle with, let alone feeling profoundly sad and being like, you know what? Probably would be a good idea for this guy's dad to die too. I'm sure that would make a lot of sense. I've learned a lot about grieving. I can have a therapist come in who's eerily like my therapist, except it's the end of the world, so they probably won't spend time during their therapy session talking about the best ways to rent the Wheel of Time and listen to it on long drives, but it's okay. This isn't about me. This is about the art. So yeah, absolutely. And I think it also depends on what the purpose of the art is again. I have made a commitment that 2 chapters will come out every week, so that creativity does not serve the goals I am pursuing. But when you create for yourself and for your own well-being, I have a strong rule that if the passion is knocking, you take advantage of it. If I feel like exercising, I will exercise because I never want to. And if I feel like writing for 4 hours, then I will cancel plans because that's when I've got to. So yeah, if you don't have anyone who you've made a promise to, deal into it. If you have a major life tragedy and you feel like writing something sad, you feel like writing. If you feel like cosplaying a character who survived a natural disaster, be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. At least you want to do something. That's awesome. That's a gift.
You would love Jungle Cruise.
I have a question about a very specific type of creative burnout. I work in that is my work. Like, I am an actor and a costume designer, and like I work in puppet shops, so I'm making that stuff all the time, and I do cosplay and similar creative things for fun. All of it now, after a lot of events and exhaustion and burnout and things going wrong, all of it feels like work.
Yeah.
If I start doing anything fun or creative, even if it's slightly different, if it's a lot different, like anything that is creative suddenly feels like, oh my God, it's work. I have to do it. Oh my God, I have to do it for myself to feel better. And it creates this huge block of I don't want to, or I can't do anything, or I can't feel creative, like at work or for myself. And I'm wondering how to get past that block when creating is all you know how to do.
Yeah. Anybody want to start on that?
I'm I'm marinating a couple of thoughts, so if anyone
Yeah, I
can
know.
help me buffer.
We're all marinating right now.
Yeah, I mean, I
That is
can
very
definitely-
specific. You were right. That is very specific.
Yeah, well, we talked about that at my 10 a.m. panel, which was mental health on and off the stage. And, like, a big thing with that is that, yeah, like, burnout for creatives who work creatively is very different because it's like, this is my love. This is what I, like, am born to do. Like, I eat, sleep, and bleed it, you know? And then when it becomes your career, it can be really challenging to navigate, like, this is also exhausting, and this is also a lot, and it's all running together. And so, like, a recommendation that I have for that is, like, really taking time to, like, that sense of, like, turning it off and back on again, for sure, of, like, maybe it's not feeling good to me to do in my spare time because I need to, like, literally sleep and rest or go outside or eat food, like, can be helpful. But also, like, doing something that you're not good at can be helpful, like something that you know you can't monetize. And as soon as you start doing it, just think, okay, like, I'm here to be silly and have fun with this. You know, like, if you're right-handed, be like, okay, I'm going to draw with my left hand. I'm going to start working with fabrics and sewing with my left hand. I'm going to make the worst bag I've ever made. And, like, sometimes things like that can help because, especially doing, like, the, like, right brain, left brain thing, like, switching, like, what hand you're using and stuff, can really help reorient you to what you're doing. And sometimes that can help with the integration of the love with it because it's like, this is so silly. What am I doing right now?
So this ties into a couple of things because there are lots of work-specific things you can try. One that's commonly talked about is just job crafting can make your job feel different, which can be as simple as walking to a coworker and being like, I absolutely hate sewing on Muppet eyes, but I really like making Muppet mouths. Are you good going swapsies for a second? And that can free up the energy to let you actually feel creative at work. Another thing that I don't think people talk about enough is work is allowed to be boring. They pay you money to be there for a reason. And even though many of us get to where we are because of a great passion, and even though the goal is to be fulfilled and feel like you're never working another day in your life, it's fine not to. Like, it's fine to show up. And usually one of the responses that can get is finding a way to separate your work from your life. So I don't know how much you're working overtime or how much you need to dedicate your personal life to keeping on top of new trends or new techniques or what's going on in a theater community. But sometimes drawing the boundaries or figuring out a way to give yourself enough space that you can have actual creativity can be recharging. I want to make a lot of things at my job and change a lot of stuff. I am not able to because I am stuck doing very rote, monotonous, boring things that I've done 1,000 times. And the only way that I can really think to get out of it is to ask if I can swap with someone or if I can say, hey, is there any way that I can get a half hour a day to work on something that makes me want to be here? Another thing is we have a built-in defense to stop us from feeling like we are acting different than our self-perception of who we are. If you are a creative and it's all you know how to do, if you are someone who finishes projects, if you're someone who's gotten through a natural disaster and you've pushed yourself to create even when you had to, it is really, really hard to say that at this point in my life, maybe not forever, maybe for the next couple months, I don't feel creative. Maybe for the next year, I'm not someone who writes when they don't want to. It's really hard. It is genuinely difficult. All the fields of research on cognitive dissonance are massive, and the things you can trick your mind into believing to avoid the sense of yourself changing is wild. But change is more constant than stability, and one of the only stable things in life is change. I think it's completely fine to give yourself permission to say, I'm going to explore what my new relationship is to art, and it doesn't have to be forever. Maybe I'm going to make a significant but reversible experiment. Maybe for a couple of weeks I don't do something, or a couple of months, and I see if the passion comes back. Maybe who I am now needs to express themselves in a different way. Or even, the really, really hard one is I'm going to have to take a bitter pill and say, I'm not doing these things that I said I would. Maybe it's just for now. Maybe if the passion comes back, I'll come back and do it, but I just have to cut ties, give up the sunk cost fallacy, and my only goal is going to be to find something that makes me want to be creative or that makes me feel recharged enough that I don't feel burnt out. Because, again, we are allowed to change. We're allowed to explore. And you're allowed to change and know that you want to get back to who you were too. Like, I right now don't want to be the kind of person who isn't pursuing a certification at my day job, a belt promotion in my martial arts, creating new furniture for my partner, and someone who isn't teaching their cat new tricks, and someone who isn't also writing this book, scheduling the next one, and getting it all out there. I want desperately to be all of those people. And there have been times in my life when I have been many of them at the same time. And at least for now, I cannot be. And I am seeing what it is like to not be that person with the understanding that once I have the spoons, I'm going to go back. And that is okay. It's not fun. It hurts. It's really hard. And it is really hard not to lean into the sense of learned grit that I'm just going to push through.
Yeah.
But it's something you can do. I don't know if it'll help you in particular, but
Yeah.
hopefully giving yourself an idea of like, you don't have to be the creative you were a year ago.
Yeah.
You can find out the creative you are now, even if that person needs to take a couple months off of creating so that they can have a couple months of being really intensely into it.
Yeah. And sometimes just giving yourself permission to not to, you only end up needing a short amount of time. Like sometimes it's like, I'm stopping this indefinitely, I can't do it anymore. And then like 15 minutes later, you're like, I feel so free. I think I want to write. And it's really interesting how that happens. Sometimes just giving ourselves some spaciousness and some permission to not to will make us to want to. Yeah.
I don't know if this will help you, but I decided what my answer for this is whenever I want to get back into working on something again, I consume more media, and not even of the same thing that I'm wanting to make. Just, I'm like, oh yeah, getting into a new fandom, that's gonna make me want to make cosplays again, and that'll get me back into what I was working on before. I don't know if that'll help you, but that's my answer.
Yeah, like reigniting your spark.
Yeah, and it doesn't even, like, I don't know, I'm just a fandom hopper, you know, I'm one of those people, sorry about it, but I have like 30 fandoms in my brain at this moment. But when I'm in there, that is when I am at my most creative, so keep consuming.
Actually, that's completely true. If I see someone who is like a phenomenally good dancer or singer, then it makes me want to do the thing that I feel good at, and that is the most likely thing in the world to either make me practice really hard at martial arts or try to write a big dramatic scene, because I see the Rocky montage they're going through, I'm like, they don't even know that I'm like really, really good at figuring out how to use too many commas in a sentence, and I bet they'd be super impressed if they could see me do it.
I love that. Yeah, and I have some of those experiences too, where I like might be kind of like losing steam of like wanting to be an actor and stuff like that, and then I'll watch a really cheesy rom-com or something, and I'm like, yeah, I love movies. Let's watch a movie. And it makes me want to act more because it's fun and it's silly again. And so yeah, getting inspiration from stuff like that can be helpful. Cool. Well, we're almost to the end of our time, so I'm going to give everybody a chance to let you know where you can find them if you want to follow or connect. And then, yeah, we'll just kind of let you guys go. So, yeah.
Yes, I am pretty much only active on Instagram as far as like my creative side goes. But yes, I am Angle Side, all one word. Math people will get it. But yeah, that's my fun little cosplay page if you want to follow me. I always follow back as long as you're not a bot. So I love making new friends.
So I am having an interesting fluke of timing right now. My model is that 2 chapters come out every week, and then a Patreon has a 10-chapter lead. So by sheer luck, we are going to have the very last chapter of the book I am currently writing, Aliases and Apocalypses, a mid-apocalyptic urban fantasy, will be out and completely free to read on Monday. That blog will be out Friday, and then a week from today, you will have book 2 already out to read for free. If anyone wants to read it, I have a QR code. JeffreyNix.com is also a good way to keep track of me. I have a newsletter, and I also have a free short story there if you want to sign up, about 2 couples. A couple that is in the afterlife and is having a struggle with work and life balance, when their at-home haunting business starts to cause some issues, and they have to figure out what a restorative date looks like when you feed on the trauma of the living.
Whoa.
Completely free if you want to sign up. I also don't care if you sign up and then exit out. I've done it so many times. I need to balance out my karma.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'm Nick Lyle. You can find Progress Loading Next Level To-Do Lists on Amazon.com. It is by Nick Lyle. Or you can find it right now for $5 Cash App, or Venmo. Yeah. You can find me personally tomorrow in Galleria 6. Right here. You can find me tomorrow right here at 1 p.m. for AudiHD&D. You can find me on Sunday, 1 p.m. In the West End for Diversity, Representation, and Inclusion, Mental Health, and Military Science Fiction Media. And then you can find me in Galleria 6, Sunday at 5:30 p.m. for Creators Ask a Therapist. So if you have any questions about mental health and stuff in general, and being a creative or being a creator, please come chat with me again.
I'll be there. My favorite spot is on their coattails, so that'll be an easy way to find me too.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Give yourself a hand.
Yay, that was fun.
That was good.
That was fun.